Welcome back, everyone. Now, I have a little bit of a problem. I really like radios. Okay, a little bit of a nerd, but I still need to work out how to fit all of this into here. And I have a solution. It's just arrived today. I'll show you it just after this. So I've gone and got myself an RC200 roof console from 4-wheel drive Interiors. So we're going to put this in today and see if we can get all these radios to fit in the cruiser. Alrighty, so here's the console. I've actually ordered a couple of extra things with it. I ordered an extra cable tidy, so I'm going to have 2 mics on there instead of 1. So I want to make sure that I can get those curly cords out of the way so they don't dangle in front of you as you're driving along. I also ordered a separate insert for my smaller dual band radio. Now, you only have a few different sizes to choose from. I picked the one that was closest, which I think was a Uniden model. So I have just fitted that. It was a bit of a nightmare. I've got it in there nice and tight. Had to do a little bit of trimming on the inside, but it's come up pretty nicely. So as far as mounting the bigger radio, the tri-band AC7000, I think I'm just gonna stick that on the side here. I had tossed up as to whether to put that in the actual radio bay and then put this one underneath, but it just would have hung down too low, I think. So I'm going to put that one on the side. The RC7000 is probably not going to get used as much as the dual band UHF VHF radio, so I think it's probably the one to have a little bit out of my line of sight. So apparently when I mount this into the GX, because the GX Landcruiser is designed for people who enjoy the simple things of life, I'm going to have to actually cut a hole in the roof lining, so that's going to be a bit of fun. I'm going to go get my tape measure and let's get started. Okay, that was a little bit more difficult than what I'd thought, mainly because I was just shitting myself. I was going to cut the hole in the wrong spot. Well, I did start cutting the hole a little bit smaller than, well, quite a bit smaller than what it said in the instructions, because I was a bit worried I was in the wrong spot, because I couldn't really find a way to accurately measure that, and I'm not very good at measuring. So I cut a smaller hole in the middle just so I could see what was going on up there, and then just made the hole bigger and bigger and bigger until it fit. So that was a lot more work than it probably should have been. But it's mounted now and it's looking like it's gonna fit up okay, I think. Let's move on to the next bit and then we can try it out and see what it looks like. So in order to fit the rear bracket for the console, I have to remove the interior dome light. Then I have to carefully remove the wiring from the dome light, because I'm going to need to reuse this to hook up the lights in the console. And then according to the instructions, I need to cut a little bit more roof lining out so that I can get the rear bracket to fit.
Unlike the front bracket, this rear bracket needs to have holes drilled and self-tapping screws put in.
Okay, well, I've just used these little screw-on terminal connectors that I had lying around. The ones that came with it were rubbish. These are the ones that came with it, and I just couldn't get these to, I don't know, I must have been doing it wrong. I couldn't get them to work at all. Anyway, it is working. Not that you can really see because of the horrible glare conditions today, but the lights are on, and when I close the door they fade out and fade on, so it's looking good. See down there, those ones are on as well. So now we just have to try and mount this up, and apparently from the instructions it sounds like it's going to be a bit of a pain in the neck. Let's go and have a look. So the instructions say that I need to put some of this supplied blue tack onto this screw head. Now this is obviously an old trick, but it's interesting that they actually supply you a little bit of blue tack. And that is to hold that onto the screwdriver, so that we can get it up into these holes through the console. Alright, well that's not too bad. Now apparently these front ones are going to be really tricky. Interesting. Seems to have a little bit of play on that bracket. God knows how you get these into there. How are you supposed to do that? Amazing. Trouble is, it's like little rubber flashing. It's like, oh God! That was a good painful. Well, after hours of trying to get this goddamn console up, I've actually resorted to getting the multi-grips and actually bending this back as far as I could, because it actually had a bit of an angle leaning forward towards the windscreen, and that was making it impossible to get those bolts in the front. It's really tight as it is, and you have to push really hard up on this lining here. The nutserts were angled upwards like this, and the bolts are coming in on an angle like this, and it was just cross-threading every single time. I had two of us here trying to do it, and I reckon in about an hour we've been trying to get this to go on. So I've got them sort of reasonably flat now. I might even try and bend them forward a little bit, bend it back this way. I've got a bit of room on this back bracket over here because it slides backwards and forwards. Inside you've actually got those grooves, so I've got a little bit of play, so I might even just try and angle this back like this a little bit, and that might just make it a bit easier for us to try and get it on and off.
While I had the console down this time, I decided to remove the speakers from the housings. I'm using GME SPK04 speakers, and I've decided to glue them into the console where the perforations are, just near the master switch for the interior lights. this should give me a really nice clean install once it's all done, and have the speakers somewhere where I can hear them when I'm driving on the highway.
Alrighty, well, it's all in, and boy, what a mission that was. Absolute huge mission. But it's all in and all working, which is excellent to see. The interior lights last night were sensational, very happy with them, and I have managed to get all the microphones tucked up out of the way, so all in all, it's all looking pretty good. I've tucked the dual band UHF VHF in behind the dash here, just behind where the ashtray is. It's body of it, the remote body is sitting in there, and the antenna tuner and the ICOM are actually in the glove box, tucked away in there. That USB cable there is for SSTV, so it's just there if I want to plug it in. I've made it so that I can easily remove the ICOM so that I can change the cabin filter, because obviously that's going to need to happen from time to time. But other than that, we've got a really nice solution here. Sorry about the dark footage, but a really nice solution. Got the traveller's net for 20 metres amateur radio up there, and on this dual band radio up here I've got some VHF ham bands, marine radio, UHF CB channels. Not that you can legally transmit on them without a type approved radio, but you can certainly use it for listening in on and talking on it in an emergency. But that's actually a really good radio, and the two speakers for that radio are mounted up in here. There are those GME speakers that I ripped out of their covers and we glued them in there, and the speaker for the ICOM is down under this seat here. So that was a really big job, heaps of wiring. So the wiring for all of these radios has been run along the roof lining here and then down that A pillar, and you can see that unfortunately I have lost one of the little covers for that grab handle, which I'm going to have to try and source. It went flying and was never seen again. So it's all tucked away nice and neat, and it's all looking and working really well. I know that ham radio isn't for everybody, but HF communication still has a place in outback touring, despite the invention of satellite phones and the fact that mobile coverage is a lot greater throughout rural and regional Australia now. HF radio still has the ability to be able to contact people that might be close by that you don't know. You can't do that with a satellite phone. If you're on the Canning stock route with a satellite phone, who are you going to call when you've used your last spare tyre? If you've got an HF radio and you're a member of some four-wheel drive communities, or you're a ham operator, you might be able to ask if anybody nearby has a spare tyre that matches, or somebody can give you a hand. That's an ability that radio gives you that satellite phones doesn't. And satellite phones aren't always reliable either. Neither is HF radio, but HF radio will get you through eventually if you've got the time. So I always carry an epub or a PLB as well. So I've got something for urgent emergencies, but I've also got the HF radio for something that isn't necessarily life-threatening. Well, I hope this video is interesting to some of you. If you like it, please thumbs up and subscribe. Comment below if you like it, dislike it, or you've got some other ideas, and I'll see you in the next one.